What's going on, guys? Wei Koh from Revolution. Wow. It's the last meeting of Geneva Watch Days, but it's a good one. I'm here with two extraordinary individuals. Sohaib Maghnam, how are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you very much, Wei.
And ultra collector and such a good dude, Paul Blandford, how are you, sir?
Very good, my man, very good.
And I remember just previous to Watches and Wonders last year, we were in the Maldives together, right? But then the last night, I'm like sat opposite Paul, and he just lets drop this. It's like, oh yeah, we started talking, your name came up about promising young watch designers for the future, and he goes, have you seen what he's done? And I'm like, no, I haven't. And then I'm like, what the hell has he done, right? And then cut to, I think it was like a month and a half later, we're at Watches and Wonders, and I'm racing through and I see
remember.
Paul, and he just does this, he goes, and I see Mohareb for the first time, and I can put the brakes on, and I'm like, dude, show me that watch. Paul, talk to me about your discovery of Sohaib and why Mohareb was so compelling to you.
Well, so the interesting thing is actually, I mean, I'm a watch geek. I've been collecting for like 15, 20 years, whatever, and I've been through the whole journey of like Rolex, Patek, AP, and then I'm deep in the indies, as we know now, and how Wei and I have become really good friends basically through that side of things. But then you still want to experience and see new designers and exciting new stuff, right? And obviously on Insta you're scrolling and you see, blah, 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 this, that and the other. And so many of them are terrible copies of the things that I love. So to see something genuinely unique, the first time I saw the Madar, I was like, wow, this thing is crazy. So we literally started messaging on Instagram, and then we met for the first time in person at Dubai Watch Week.
Delivery day,
Delivery day was Dubai Watch Week 2021. Yeah. Because I'm really excited about what this guy is doing. But again, it's like, this is what the watch community is all about for me. If you meet someone who's genuine, who really cares about what they're doing, and is passionate, and my God, I mean, he's gonna get embarrassed or whatever, and he's terrible at self-promotion, but he is incredible, all right? We're just just whatever.
I agree.
This watch, when you talk, I mean, I can talk about it, I can do the promotion. Like, when you listen to how he has designed this watch to the point where it's as slim as it can possibly be, and he's literally been and said, Paul, I couldn't use someone who's involved in watchmaking to make the case or to make this particular part of the watch, because if they were trying to do it, they would say, no, we can't do that because the tolerance doesn't work, right? So he's gone and he's found someone who will do it, whether they know what they're doing or not, but to deliver something that creates a watch that is so slim, so perfect on the wrist, it's like incredible.
At what point did he show you the designs for Mohareb?
So that was November 2020.
Yeah. So that day was also the day I showed him the drawings for Mohareb on my laptop.
Nice.
And he said, I want one of those.
Fantastic.
So Paul has number one actually.
Really? So that watch I saw on your wrist and Watches and Wonders in 22
was actually number one. And if you turn it over, it says number one.
Yeah,
amazing.
Which is the first watch.
Incredible.
Okay, Sohaib, Mohareb, where does this come from?
Mohareb, it's usually very difficult to describe how I design my watches. I genuinely, as cheesy as it sounds, but I saw a full Mohareb on my wrist. Like, I saw a vision of a watch on my wrist and I thought that would be very, very, very cool indeed. And so I started working on it. Obviously, the first version was not the last version, but it was the idea that I immediately got. This was the watch that I saw, and this was the watch that I eventually made. Throughout the production though, I discovered that this really needs to be a slim watch. This really needs to be something that's slow, sleek. This needs to be a crazy watch, but that's also, for the lack of better comparison, a Cartier that you can, a dainty little watch that you can just put on your wrist and just enjoy for the rest of the day without thinking so much about it.
I mean, Paul was talking about that earlier. I think that's what this sort of dynamic contrast between something that's, so striking looking, but then at the same time when you put it on your wrist, you're like, wow, it's so elegant. Like, that didn't really exist, until you created this watch. But for you to create this elegance, this slimness, which, tell us the height of the watch.
So 6.8 millimeters.
That apparently was not the easiest thing in the world.
It was not at all.
Walk us through the
especially
journey.
because this is a retrograde module. So if I can just hold the watch. If you look at the profile, it is domed. And that dome is not just an aesthetic thing, but rather even the minutes indicator inside the watch is curved exactly to match the dome. the layer on top, the layer on bottom, those are as thick as literally a sheet of paper. So it was not easy to achieve that. We went through so many iterations, we went through so many problems. But I knew that if I had achieved the result that I wanted when I first started doing this, I knew that it would be a special watch, and that made it all worth it. Being able to do a watch that's I would call a concept watch, it is exactly what I wanted it to be, is very special.
So you decide that you want to pursue this watch. You've created a wandering hours retrograde jump minute indicator on the top of it.
Yeah.
But the problem is there's no one out there that's going to make that for you, not in the dimensions that you want. So how did you get it?
So this is a problem that I'm not only facing with Mohareb, but watches before it and watches after it. When I create a prototype, I don't only just create a sketch, I create technical files, because that was part of my job as an automotive engineer. So I create the technical development also for the watch. And then I send the models to different suppliers after we sign an NDA and stuff. And then I always get the same reply, and that's always no. No. We're gonna make this sticker, this is not safe, this cannot work, this is gonna be rejected.
Right.
And I don't want that. I know what I want, and I gave you the files that I wanted. I faced this with Mohareb most of all because the walls are just so incredibly thin. But again, I know that they can work if you're willing to try them. And so the person who prototyped Mohareb for me and the person who still prototypes for me is a company that we discussed this before, makes dental equipment and surgical equipment, because they have the 5-axis CNC machine and they know how to use it, and they don't know watches. So to them, this is an object that I can create out of stainless steel, and I'm gonna try. And they tried, and it worked. And then I went to a watch manufacturer and I told them, it works. And then this is how we manufacture the watches after having to prove it with someone who works absolutely.
Isn't that insane?
That's crazy.
I mean, have you ever heard that in the watch community before?
No. And I love the fact that you go there all there with pretty much with a finished case, which is the thinnest it could possibly be. And you're like, okay, now what we have to put inside will have to fit in this dimensions, and I'm not going to compromise. Which crazy motherfucker did you find to like go and get a movement for you that would actually fit?
So also, because I am blessed with being able to design the watch and technically develop the watch, those go hand in hand.
Right.
So since the beginning, I knew what movement I wanted to put inside, and I knew that the module is going to be this and this thick. So I knew from the beginning that the movement was going to be based on a Sellita SW210, and that the retrograde is going to take an extra 1.4, and then how the a minute disc is going to be designed. But I did find also a lot of trouble in manufacturing that minutes disc, because as I mentioned, it's not flat, it's domed, and the rejection rate with those is quite high, because if it's not absolutely perfectly symmetrical, you're gonna get so much friction, it's not gonna work.
You know, usually when people tell you all this stuff, then they'll tell you the price of the watch, and then that's when you fall out of the chair, because it's like, okay, I get it. You know, and the more struggle they went through, the higher the price tag usually goes. So let's get that out of the way first of all before we start talking about our collaboration. What's the price of the watch?
So the price of the retail of the watch is 6,500 euros without VAT. In order to enable people to take a chance on me, they need to be able to afford that chance. So that was the idea. Although I know
that's pretty cool. What do you think, Paul?
I mean, it's ridiculous. We've had these conversations before. The guy, when you have this piece in hand, to me, it's worth so much more than that.
I mean, the quality is really
the quality is incredible, and when you listen, like I said, for me as a watch geek, to listen to how it's been designed with the tolerances that this guy has managed to do, it's mind-blowing.
I know one of the inspirations for you was like ancient warrior helmets as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
And there's also another dimension to the watch, which is interesting, that it has a modularity. So you can go from the blades configuration to 3 other different configurations on this as well, with the kind of changeable exoskeleton.
Yeah.
But we wanted to start with blades, and we want to kind of play with this dynamic tension between something that's very futuristic looking and very ancient looking at the same time, and to create what we ended up calling this the Relic series, right? The desert relic, like a watch that looked like it was unearthed in the desert, and the ocean relic that looked like it was unearthed in the ocean floor, right? Yeah. So in order to do that, we came up with this idea of laser engraving, this kind of really cool, almost hieroglyphic-like pattern on it as well. But then you were like, oh shit, the thickness of my case is 0.2 mm. So you have to really look into, tell us like that process, man.
Okay, so as I said, this top case is 0.25 millimeters, and then I did always think about the possibility of engraving it, but like the answer to my question in my head was, this is going to be such a pain. I'm not even going. I'm not even going there right now. But when we started talking with Wei and his team, and they told me, okay, we want to engrave the top, I really wanted to do something special with Revolution because I knew that we can create something nice together. So we started looking into it. So many pieces now lie on the floor with cases that are cut through.
Oh wow!
Yeah, of course, because it's so thin, and whatever you try, it's going to damage the case. So this is laser engraved indeed, but because the case is domed on top, you cannot just normally put it under the laser machine and achieve
it's on the radius
because because it's curved. So we've had to go through a lot to develop a way to be able to get consistent depth all around the case that is sharp, that is clean, that is also achieving a good visual result while not breaking the case. But
tell us about the patterns that we have on the two washers, the Desert Relic and the Ocean Relic.
So for the Desert Relic, we went for something like an Egyptian hieroglyphic engraving on the case itself, but there's also quote-unquote alien language, so that we have wording that goes around the case, and this actually means something, so it's not just random.
What does it mean?
That's for the end consumer to find out, let's say. Yeah, but it's not.
I'm just learning this now.
Yeah, it does. And then
passwords to all my banking information. That's terrible.
And then on the Ocean Relic,
yes.
It has a mirrored wave sketch that I hand sketched just for this case.
Wow.
So I wanted it to look like a wave, but I also wanted it to be symmetrical because everything about the watch is symmetrical, and I adore symmetry. So I did one sketch of a wave, and then I had to mirror it and then do it on that case as well. And I think they work very well with the inspiration behind the pieces.
That's fantastic. So we have a kind of a bronze PVD coating here and a blue PVD coating for the Ocean Relic. Talk to me about the prices of these two watches, because they're special editions, obviously, right?
So these two pieces will come in at 7,200. So it's not a big jump from the stock watch.
So you can continue your tradition of trying to lose money on every watch.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. That's what I like to do.
Fantastic. And how many will we make of each of them?
So we're making 10 pieces of each of the editions.
Fantastic, man. Thank you very much, Sohaib.
Thank you, Wei. Thank you so much. Thank you for this.
As he says, you're a future rock star, and it's so nice to see how
Thank you.
honest, sincere, and value conscious you are. Paul,
appreciate it.
You are the motherfucking man. I love you, dude.
Cheers, man.
And guys, there you go. Sohaib Maghnam, Paul Blandford, and that's the Desert Relic and Ocean Relic, Mohareb. And I hope you liked the watches as much as we loved talking to you about them. Peace.